2 days is, of course, the location. And that's really the primary thing. I mean, there's really not too much of a difference between the two setups in terms of like the overall basic ingredients. You know, we have 250 0 to 3 kilometer wind shear. We have 100 to 150 0 to 1 kilometer wind shear, just like yesterday, maybe even a little bit higher than that today. We have a discrete to semi-discrete mode. Could get a little messy today, but probably less messy today than what we had in yesterday's event. And our morning convection, if we didn't see this morning convection sweep through, we would have seen a moderate risk for severe weather today. They would have issued a moderate risk. They said that morning convection and lack in confidence in destabilization precluded a moderate risk at the 9 a.m. update. At 16:30Z, which is the 12:30 p.m. update, they didn't mention a moderate risk, so I don't expect them to do any like last second upgrade. I don't think they'll pull a moderate risk at the 4 o'clock update, but we definitely could end up seeing a couple of strong to intense tornadoes today. Definitely a very real possibility, specifically on the west side of this district. This is the main area where I'm watching for that tornado threat right in there. Really primarily the far west edge of that risk and going on into this region right like that. So this is the entire area that I believe we are going to be seeing the potential for intense tornadoes today, possibly even an isolated violent tornado. There is still the possibility for a last second upgrade. I would not completely rule it out. It is not impossible for us to see a last second upgrade out here across Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee, but probably a little bit too much uncertainty in storm mode, and just the fact we had that morning round of convection, it will most likely preclude them from actually issuing that moderate risk. So these are going to be your supercells. Wow, we already have some velocities kicking up here. Just the fact there's velocities is already something pretty interesting there. I don't think it's rotation, but just the fact storms are already starting to have velocities just a few minutes after forming. Pretty interesting stuff there. I mean, for the May 16th event, it took 3 hours before we saw any velocities with storms. So these storms are instantly starting to tap on into that area of wind shear. Let me go ahead and see our meso analysis. We are going to get a new one here shortly. Surface helicity, surface to 1 kilometer. There you go. Yeah, lower level wind shear is definitely a bit of an issue today. That's definitely going to be the reason for probably not seeing a moderate risk upgrade. Just the lack of lower level wind shear. But still, we could see a couple strong tornadoes today, possibly an intense tornado or two. And like I said, I wouldn't fully rule out a violent tornado threat if we can get a supercell to really get going. Here's our HRRR, and this would be where the issue lies. Prefrontal supercells firing in a quite favorable environment. So something like that, that would be where your violent tornado threat could come in. You could see lower level wind shear on that particular area is almost 200 with 0 to 3 kilometer near the 400 to 500 range. Surface-based instability into the low to mid 2000s there. So that leads to a very favorable environment for strong tornadoes. So if we do get any prefrontals, which are likely forming right now, these little rain showers right here are likely your prefrontals already starting to fire. So if any of those do mature over the next 2 to 3 hours and then progress into eastern Mississippi, they could be capable of producing a strong to intense tornado threat. Like I said, if we do see a discrete supercell just completely by itself in that open warm sector, that will give the opportunity for a violent tornado threat. Also, your lower level jet is another thing that is pretty interesting. So you already have a widespread 30 to 35 knot lower level jet. So we're already good for your lower level jet. Really not much of a bust mode today, to be honest with you. The clustering that we saw yesterday most likely will not occur to the magnitude that we saw yesterday today. So we should see a few tornadoes and likely at least 1 to 2 strong. I think the biggest deciding factor in that is probably going to be your surface to 1 kilometer SRH. That is probably going to be your big issue there. And instability is going to continue to climb throughout the rest of the day. Our warm front is not very far north. Our warm front is not much further than Memphis right now. Your warm front is stalled out right now in this area. It is going to begin to move and probably continue to move. I imagine it is now moving, actually. Yeah, it started to move over the last hour or two, and that should quite rapidly move up to the northeast until eventually it gets into Kentucky, maybe even as far as southern Indiana. So that warm front should move probably all the way up into this area by the time we get to the afternoon, very late in the afternoon, closer to probably 5 o'clock tonight. You're not too sure why we went under a tornado watch over here. Really unsure. I do think we could still see a spun up tornado or two, but probably nothing that would warrant a tornado watch to be issued. The environment out there,
a new tornado watch has been issued.
Slightly favorable. It may get just the slightest bit more favorable in an hour, but it's not going to be a very favorable environment for a tornado threat. And it will likely stick to the southern side, probably right here. Right in here. That's likely where that tornado threat will be the highest, although I don't think it will be too heightened. Yeah, so Somerset, London, Kentucky, you actually managed to get under a tornado watch today. Thankfully, not even remotely close to what you saw there on the 16th. Not even a fraction of what you saw there on the 16th. These storms will mainly be very heavy rain, some very gusty winds, probably not much more than 30 miles per hour. Just pretty gusty winds, and then maybe some small hail, no larger than probably pea-sized or so. Yeah, about ½ inch could be as large. So that's probably gonna hurt some evacuations that may be happening out there. I've heard of a evacuation for London, so that may just cause a little bit of some stalling there for that evacuation, or any efforts that may still be ongoing in these two cities here in Kentucky. Just may pause some of those efforts for an hour or so. And there will be another line in this area tonight, but I highly doubt it will be pretty strong, to be honest with you. I don't think our line's going to be much... I don't think it will be very strong past Nashville. By the time our first line forms here, moves through Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, it should be weakening in east central Tennessee, probably by about 8 o'clock tonight. So I'm thinking 8, 9 o'clock tonight. That's when most things are going to start to die down. We still could have a few supercells by that time, but our main event should be well finished by 8, 9 o'clock. So shouldn't be a very long duration event today. Probably no more than about 6 hours for our peak activity. Tornado warning is still in place out here for the next 32 minutes over Iron City, South Central Tennessee. Don't expect that to do much. I'm very shocked it even produced a tornado, and a pretty good one at that. It actually produced a pretty solid tornado out there, and that shows you your environment is already favorable for a tornado threat. It nearly looked like a strong tornado, but it was really over just water, so it was very difficult for me to tell. So as that warm front keeps pushing northward, this environment's just going to get better. I think that's going to be an issue. I believe this batch of thunderstorms in Clarksdale, western Mississippi right now, I think that could be an issue as it goes into northeastern Mississippi, probably late this evening, or late afternoon, early evening. That could probably be an issue. And of course, we're going to be dealing with a radar hole today. Unfortunately, if we were to see a moderate risk today, I think it would include directly in the middle of this radar hole. If we were to see a moderate, I would believe that it would be placed right around in this vicinity here. And your radar hole is on the southeast side of that area. I don't think we are going to see a moderate though. I don't think we will. I think today will be a little bit similar to yesterday. I think it will be a little similar to where we see quite a few tornadic storms, a lot of tornado warnings, a bunch of severe warnings. Probably not nearly as many severe warnings as yesterday. Yesterday was a full-fledged severe weather outbreak. Very widespread severe weather outbreak. And then we're probably going to see at least two or three storms today that try to produce intense tornadoes. Yeah, so the newest HRRR here, just now rendering in, has that more clustery, semi-discrete look to it. But any supercells that can try to maintain along the cold front dry line that try to stay discrete, or as prefrontals there. So these would be your prefrontal storms. This area right here would be your prefrontal storms. And then storms on the cold front would be right back in here. So anything that can stay semi-discrete will definitely have that strong to intense tornado threat. Want to see what the next frame here. So this is by 4 p.m. This is within the next 2 hours. Within the next 2 hours here. Yeah, the violent tornado threat is, I mean, it's low, but it's been low. It was quite a bit low on the I'm trying to think of the date. What, the 18th? The 18th and yesterday and today too. Really, all three of these days were likely moderate risk caliber. I mean, of course, the last two were moderates, but today is also moderate risk caliber. It's just that morning convection led to uncertainty. Which, I mean, it wasn't really a bunch of morning convection. If we go all the way back here. Go all the way back to this. This is the morning convection that led to uncertainty. And that was at 14Z. So, I mean, this moved out almost right after, right around when the sun was coming up here around 14Z. Yeah, the sun was well out by 14Z. But that's when your line was moving in, so it didn't affect destabilization too much. And we got a really good pocket of clearing in, so we were able to destabilize fairly well. The area that struggles to destabilize is where this line right here moved through on the northern edge. So this area has struggled to destabilize well at the moment. Not a lot of cape up here at all. I don't think there's not a lot of areas over 1,000 in this region. Yeah, you got a cool pool that is in place thanks to that line that moved through. Let me show you. So this is your mesoanalysis here. And you can see that cool pool where our instability is very well affected. Very well affected cool pool there. And you see that divots all the way down into southwestern Tennessee, almost into Memphis, but not into Memphis. But this is your warm front right in here, and it's more north now. We're going to get a new mesoanalysis in 10 minutes. I imagine that's going to be a little bit further north. Let's go back to the current radar. Likely we'll see a tornado watch here probably within the next 30 minutes or so. We will likely end up with a tornado watch across western Tennessee, northwest Mississippi, into east central Arkansas. All right, let's see the new frame on the HRRR. Yeah, you could see any storms that could get discrete out of those prefrontals or semi-discrete storms embedded in the cluster. They're going to be able to try to produce strong tornadoes. And there's quite a few of them. I mean, that's quite a bit of updraft helicity tracks there. If we go to your updraft helicity swaths here, you could see a pretty good area of swaths. And this is just till about 5, 6 p.m. About 5, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that's the area where I think our tornado threat will be the greatest. Girl Dev, you're not going to end up with much at all today. It's mainly damaging winds, heavy rain, some small hail. There's barely any wind shear up there, at least in the lower levels. You could see your supercell composite up here is only at like a 2 to a 3, whereas back down in Mississippi it's at an 8 or a 9, even a 10 and 11 in some spots. So your tornado threat is very low up there. There is a very large 5%. I'm surprised they have the 5% that far north. So there's definitely a chance for a tornado, but yeah, that 5% is very, very large. I'm surprised by how large that is. That is a really, really large 5% risk. Not too sure if we're going to see much up there. Mainly just a spin-up tornado or two up there. It's near the surface, though. And like I said, there's really not a lot of ingredients up there. Not a lot of ingredients. Go back here, show you again. New HRRR there. And like I said, again, any storms that can stay semi-discrete in the cluster, very well capable of producing a strong tornado threat today. So, I don't think they'll pull the moderate. I extremely doubt it. Also, some prefrontals in East Tennessee according to this run, but I'm not too confident in that happening. Yeah, much better environment back down in Mississippi, Alabama.
Oh, I saw. Get the hell out of here.
Jason, I'm a little 50-50 on the moderate risk. I'm a little bit more 50-50 on it.
What's that?
The only reason why I'm 50-50 is because of that morning convection, and the morning convection going through can also help contribute to a messier storm mode. Yeah, you can donate with the super chat if you want to. Just like you do on every other live stream. But you don't need to at all. Just being here supports the channel plenty. Remember, it is hurricane season now. I know, bringing up a hurricane season already. The NHC has started their advisories. They started about 5 days ago, but I really wanted to bring your attention to a potential for a tropical storm to form in the Eastern Pacific. Quite a few ensembles and some model runs have this potentially being our first hurricane in the Eastern Pacific. So that is possible. It is possible we get a tropical storm and or hurricane in the Eastern Pacific there. I feel like it's very, very early, so models are probably a little bit too aggressive with it. We probably won't get much out of it, but there's definitely a few runs that show it being a tropical storm to hurricane. So we'll keep an eye on that, but the good news is that won't affect any land. All right, Tornado Watch was just issued.
A new tornado watch has been issued.
Let me go see that. It looks like a 60-40 watch. That is a 60-40 watch, so definitely no moderate risk. They would have gone with a higher end watch if they planned on upgrading. That hail threat, extremely high though, 70-60 hail threat, so likely going to see 3 to 4 inch hail today. Damaging winds, that is at a 60-20, so we're likely going to see widespread 60 mile-an-hour winds with a chance for 70 to 75 mile-an-hour winds in the watch area. Could get a gust as high as 80, but if we do get a gust upwards of 80, I think it would be on the east side of our watch. And then that tornado, that 60% chance of 2 or more tornadoes, and a 40% chance that at least one of them are strong. So we're still likely going to see a strong tornado today. Possibly a few strong tornadoes. So there's that watch now out by the SPC across Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Southern Illinois, Southeastern Missouri. They are not going to pull a moderate at the 4 o'clock update for anyone who may still think about that. There's no way with the probabilities being that low. That's definitely a enhanced risk watch right there, 60-40. And again, I'm still very confident the greatest tornado threat is on the southeast side here. Now the southeast side of that tornado watch, the southwest side of the enhanced. So there's your tornado watch.
What?
Tornado watch just got issued there. That
It's
includes
low
Memphis,
for a moderate?
Jackson, Union City, Paris, Huntington, Lexington, Savannah, and Western Tennessee. Also,
Really?
Corinth, Boonville, Oxford, Charleston,
Hello?
Greenwood, Greenville, Mississippi.
Comes.
Also including Star City, Crossett, Camden, Little Rock, Forest City, Batesville, Jonesboro, and Corning in Arkansas. Also in the Boot Hill of Missouri, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, Stykeston, Maiden, all inside of that tornado watch, and even a few counties there in southern Illinois, just a few counties there, including Eddyville. Also, Paducah, Kentucky, sneaking its way into the tornado watch here as well.
Oh
So
my
Paducah,
shit.
Mayfield, Benton, Murray, Clinton, Bardale,
Hey, bye, sir.
Bardwell,
So I got it right because I'm still.
Bardwell, Kentucky, under that watch as well. So very large, quite a large tornado watch there. Quite a large tornado watch there. Yeah, that's definitely what I was thinking. Whoa, okay, maybe not like that. Wow. So your warm front. Yeah, your warm front. I think I outlined it in Tennessee. That was dead wrong. Your warm front's way up in Illinois and Indiana. That was a cool pull, but I want to show you that cool pull completely gone. Fully destabilized. There is no cool pull left now. So the atmosphere is fully primed. There is no cool pull remaining there. And that is actually 4,000 instability where thunderstorms are firing right now. That is 4,000 instability. Let me see if I can get that contour back up. So 4,000 Cape, almost into Little Rock. Nearly 4,000 instability there. And that is overperforming by about
Are we gonna
1,000
get stormed?
joules. So that's overperforming instability right there. And that does lean the question,
Does it look like
how
we're not
high
gonna
are
get stormed tonight?
temperatures? You just have the whole system in the last week. Dew points have just been in the
Fuck.
70s. I mean, none of this is
Alright.
elevated.
Sir,
None of
I'm
it
gonna
is
check your
elevated at all.
cargo and we might be...
Lower level lapse rates are
Me?
really, really good. Somehow really good. Little pockets of 6.5, but I doubt those are, going to be an issue. Mid-level's not the best, so I'm surprised. Let me go back to here.
Yeah.
Just like
I wanna check your
kind of like
veering.
Mayflower.
Yeah, definitely not the best veering today. You don't see a very notable change with winds towards the surface. That could definitely decrease your tornado threat. But still pretty good. I mean, they go from southwesterly winds, southwesterly, then to
So,
about north Yeah, those are still about westerly winds there. They stay about westerly winds the whole time, so not a really good amount of veering there. Yeah, quite poor 0 to 1 kilometer wind shear. That's going to be your main underperformance. That's what's keeping it from. There's definitely a few things from keeping it moderate now that I look closer into the environment. But yesterday went moderate for this. I mean, yesterday went moderate for this type of setup. It did. It really did. With we did not have a lot of 0 to 1 kilometer helicity yesterday, and it went moderate, and it went big moderate. And it wasn't just a little moderate. I mean, that moderate yesterday was half the size of the state of Oklahoma. Covered half of Oklahoma. Let me see. Wall cloud reported in Jacksonville, Illinois. So that's up here somewhere. Probably, yep. One of these little rain showers. So rotating rain showers over here. Rotating heavier rain shower in Jacksonville, reported wall cloud. Rotating wall cloud there. So that's going to head up towards Ashland. Tornado threat, definitely possible, but I don't expect a notable tornado threat up here. I do think we could see a spin up tornado or two, though. This one's getting a bit more of a hail core with it. Of course, they're rain showers. What, you're telling me this isn't producing rain, Kevin? Technically, everything's a rain shower that tries to... I mean, if it's a supercell, that means it's a rain shower, too, because it's producing rain, right? So all these are rain showers. I'm not wrong. They're rain. It's raining. Pretty sure it's going to be dropping rain. Yeah, again, gonna watch that cluster that is formed over Clarksdale, moving northeast. Once that gets into a better environment here, in about 2 hours, it gets into some better shear. That's when it may be able to try and rotate. So this is your supercell composite for the day. And once we start getting to 8, that's when your environment starts to be really favorable for tornadoes. We've seen plenty of tornadoes in 4 and 6 supercell composites, but once you start seeing this different colored contour outlined here, that's 8 supercell composite. And again, that covers southern Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, into northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama. And that's right where you have your good lower level jet as well. So visible satellite imagery. Very light cloud cover there. The heck? I gotta show y'all this. Look at this. Look at your low pressure. High definition satellite of your low pressure there. Fully exposed low. Look at that. Completely exposed low over northeastern Missouri. I wonder where the low pressure is. I have no idea where the low pressure is. No idea at all. Completely exposed low pressure there. It's all the way up in northeast Missouri. Pretty cool when you see something like that. We see it quite often through the year. It's not very rare, but when you do see it, it looks really cool on satellite. Still under a tornado warning, by the way. It's for south central Tennessee. I want to go back over to that. Wow, that is a perfect radar hole. Wow. Didn't realize how large of a radar hole this is either. So we are definitely, we're definitely dealing with 2 good radar holes today. And that's a mixture of right where we're expecting our highest threat. Tornado outbreak tonight. Funny that you say that because the tornado threat is expected to decrease after dark. Today is going to be very much driven by daytime heating. So I'll show you an example of what happens when the sun starts to set. So if we go over here, this is when the sun is setting, 8 o'clock Central Time. And you can see everything's weakening by then. 9 o'clock, it does show a few supercells north of the Birmingham Metro and supercell or 2 in Mississippi. But nothing compared to what it shows back out in Mississippi here in at about 7 o'clock Eastern. Actually, that's 6 o'clock Eastern, my bad. 6 o'clock Eastern there. So that's your updraft helicity tracks and a very clear area of your highest tornado threat. This could easily just be an HRRR biased thing where it just initiates 3 random supercells north of the Birmingham Metro. For instance, if we go to the 16Z model run, it still has it. Even 15Z had it a little bit, but easily could just be the HRRR deciding to initiate more storms. And I do think those would be a lot more of a hail threat compared to a tornado threat north of Birmingham. I think those would be... The leading one would definitely be a tornado threat, but the other two, those would definitely be primarily hail and wind. But a good chunk of these updraft helicity tracks are going to be rotation and hail. I believe, yeah, we still do have our 45% wind risk. I am going to be really intrigued to see if that verifies tonight, because that is tonight, the main wind threat. The main wind threat is at barely after dark. Nah, I don't think it should be 45 sig. I don't expect much more than 80 mile-an-hour winds today. It doesn't look like a very significant wind threat. I'm not even too sure if it's going to verify as a 45% wind. I am really surprised by that still. 45% wind risk, that's going to take a lot of 60 mile-an-hour wind reports to verify. Not sure why, but my day one CSU outlooks aren't loading. I could see the 30% wind, but I'm still shocked by a 45% wind. Still surprised by that. 30 sig wind, and that would be close. Alright, we did just get our first severe thunderstorm warning here. First severe warning of the main risk. This is your main line that has started to form here. And that is over Redfield. Right over Redfield. Not too concerned about these storms for an imminent tornado threat. For about the next hour or so. I think once we get to 3:30, that's when things are going to start to possibly become more tornadic out here. I think it's still going to be about an hour before we deal with tornadic activity out of these cells here. The ones I'm more concerned about is this down in here. I really, really want to pay attention to that one. Really want to pay attention to that one. But these storms are going to be mainly a wind threat and hail threat at first. And then once they get into this enhanced risk area here in probably a little under an hour, that's when they should start to rotate. A lot of little rain showers out there. A bunch of rain showers here. Southeast Missouri. Yeah, we could see a spin-up tornado threat there, for sure, out of these storms as they track to the northeast until about Paducah. That 10 sig tour is pretty large. It goes all the way up into Bowling Green, Madisonville, Princeton, Hopkinsville, in southern Kentucky. And that 10% tornado risk extends all the way up into northeast Kentucky. So that's that. I don't believe that's, yeah. That entire area I just circled there is a 10% non-sig, 10% non-sig risk for tornadoes. Yeah, that 4,000 cape, it's going to do wonders for these storms, really intensifying for hail and damaging winds. That tornado threat is going to take a little longer to get going, like I said, closer to probably 3:30 or so. So that is when I'm expecting our threat to increase a bit more. SPC upgraded day 3 to a marginal. That's fun. I was hoping it would be a general thunderstorm risk. The good news is it looks like an extremely low tornado threat, but that might still end up being a tornado threat over Texas. Very low, though. Tomorrow, I'm still 50-50 about chasing. It's a conditional warm front risk for tomorrow in Virginia and North Carolina. They haven't upgraded it to a slight yet. Because it's too conditional. It may not go slight. It's a very conditional warm front tornado risk. See if we have anything here. A tornado warning was updated. Very small tornado warning here. Man, that don't need to be in effect no more. The storm's way over here now. So still remaining your safe spot. If you're in that warned area, there's nearly 3,000 people inside of that tornado warning. Nearly 3,000. Yeah, the violent tornado threat, by the way, today, y'all, it's, of course, going to be very low. It's going to fully come down to if we can get a discrete storm in the open warm sector, and if the wind shear is high enough at that time. Which, like Kevin said, that'd be pretty rare. It's a very, very low violent tornado threat. Actually, I didn't read the wording on that watch. I wonder if what they say for EF3 plus tornadoes. A couple intense tornadoes possible, so few tornadoes likely and a couple of EF3 plus tornadoes possible. Thunderstorms in a very moist and very unstable air mass will continue to grow upscale. A few supercells are expected, capable of large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes. Where's the cold front? Where it looks like it is. The cold front really can't be all that more obvious for you. Low pressure, you can literally see on satellite up here. with your warm front extending probably generally up like that. I imagine right around that 5% tornado risk. The northern side of that tornado risk is where your warm front is very close to. Looking at it on WPC, they have it closer to like right here for that warm front. And then your cold front, like I said, very, very obvious right in here. Cold front is extremely, extremely obvious. They get a new severe up there in Illinois. I believe that's the one that had a reported wall cloud with it. They didn't put torque possible on it, but it is one for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, this storm has some velocity on it, but it's not rotating. It just has velocity. Connor Croft is already out and about there. Let me go see where he's located. I imagine he's probably in eastern Arkansas. Let's see where you are. Slow computer. Slow computer. All right, Connor is in Arkansas. That's what I was thinking. Now, where in Arkansas? Right there. So he is going for the severe storm. He's going for the severe storm. Fake reflectivity debris ball. I mean, it doesn't look like a reflectivity debris ball, but that's a supercell. It's probably rotating a little bit. Could fake you out, though, if you look really quick at that. But that is probably a mini supercell. I imagine it may have a little wall cloud with it. Would not be surprised. Pretty sure that is in a 2% tornado risk. Yep. Sure is. That's in a 2%. Gonna keep an eye on that prefrontal. Right in here, these clusters is what I'm really keeping an eye on, because that's what the HRRR has being our main tornado threat late in the afternoon into the early evening. It's going to be another full day of yawning, man. It's like right when I start the live stream today, I just start yawning. I haven't yawned once. Not once before the live stream. And then right when I start, I'm already on like my 4th yawn over here. There's Lake Chaserson, Northwest Mississippi. Half of them are in eastern Arkansas, northern Mississippi today. Well, I mean, there's really not another target area. You sure don't want to target eastern Kentucky. I mean, there's a tornado watch out there, but that's not really going to be a good area for the main tornado threat. So really, it's just like eastern Arkansas, northern Mississippi. I mean, I would be in northern Mississippi. That's where I would be. I would be in northern Mississippi. I wouldn't be on any of these storms yet. I would be waiting in northern Mississippi to see when those prefrontals fire and if they do get going. And depending on that, I would either book it west towards eastern Arkansas, or I would stay with the prefrontal. first severe in a long time on this line. Yeah, it is for 1 inch hail, or actually 0.75 inch hail. Or, well, there's 2. Okay, so see, this is the one I looked at before. 1 inch hail, 60 mile an hour winds, torque possible. This one is torque possible, 0.75 inch hail, 60 mile an hour winds. Just a little area of rotation there. It is going to be nearly invisible. I mean, it's extremely, extremely heavy rain. Very, very heavy rain all around that area of rotation over just barely to the south of Richmond, Kentucky.